Hello there. My name is Connor Gardner, and this is my feature presentation on web scraping fundamentals. So to get started, what is web scraping? Web scraping is basically just an automated process for extracting desired information from a website. A statistic coming from BrowserCat, 49.6% of internet traffic in 2023 came from bots, including web scrapers. That is absurd. And if you put this into actual context, what are some of the usage cases, though, of web scraping? Well, for businesses, a lot of businesses will use this to see how their products are specifically performing in different tailored markets, to see at different price segments, how this fluctuates and how they perform overall, as well as in the review process to see what consumers are actually saying about their products and how they can further pivot and change. A gray area, language learning models. They use web scraping to specifically feed large volumes of data into their models to improve performance and efficiency and accuracy in this case. This is also seen in academic research as well as APIs. APIs will use traditionally a lot of different web scrapers to aggregate and finalize a lot of their data into the API itself. And the usage cases, of course, they just keep expanding for either personal or, in this case, business usage. But how does it actually work? Knowing now what the definition is, some of the usage cases, well, I've created kind of a 5-step process to just systematically go over this, if you will. So the web scraper itself needs to initiate a network request. This is followed by the web scraper, in this case, having a script that has been tailored to look for specific HTML or JSON content. This raw HTML and JSON content is then funneled into a pipeline and cleansed into structured or usable data. This is followed by being stored in a database. And once it's at rest in this database, we can provide ourselves the opportunity to perform some data analysis to see how usable the data itself is and what we can further hope to use it for. But with that in mind, here are some different libraries or tools that are specifically tailored to the Python language. These are, for the most part, open source, and they provide a lot of great opportunities for getting started with web scraping. Feel free to pause this video, though, to revisit this at a future point in time and see if this is something that interests you. With that being said, we're going to talk about one of my favorite frameworks. This is from the Botosaurus project. This is an open source GitHub project. Attribution, of course, goes to Anchor Cloud for providing this free open source resource. But this is a script that has been specifically tailored and made for extracting Yahoo stock tickers. As highlighted in red, these are a couple of important elements that go into this basic template script. For example, at the bottom here, we have our links of the different Yahoo tickers that we are going to be web scraping. We have all of our imports for our library. We also have some mandates of how this web scraper will perform within the browser itself. We have a function, of course, that has been created, and then over here, we also have some of the different HTML content that we're going to be trying to extract during this process. With that being said, though, one of the most important elements of web scraping is the output that we get. And in this case, we're going to examine some of the output. So this is from a web scraper that I created that is specifically tailored towards tech deals or tech prices. In this case, this has been extracted from an open forum website called Slick Deals. In this, I've been able to extract the title of the deal itself, as well as the listed price and any fluctuations that have existed in that listed price on the day of which this was extracted, which was 10/24 of 2025, as well as the included link of this web scraped material. This is in a structured format after being funneled in a pipeline, though. So now that we've kind of gone over some of the different usage cases of web scraping, I think it's imperative to talk about some of the limitations. All websites, or most websites in this case, should have a robots.txt file. This basically mandates what a web scraper can ethically and unethically do what is on this site. This is enforceable for the simple fact of trying to protect user data. You would not want that to be leaked or extracted by a web scraper, and so this is kind of just a mandated approach of what a web scraper can and cannot do on a site. Rate limiting is one of the many tactics that websites will utilize to knock off bots off of their site to keep constant uptime and ensure that there is no downtime on their sites. And that is something that a web scraper, of course, or a script in this case for a web scraper, has to adhere to. But last but not least, GDPR compliance. This is enforced by the European Union. It is basically just, it is a personal data protection mandate that is enforceable by international law to protect users, specifically their data and how it's mitigated and used by companies. In closing, though, I hope that you have been able to see some of the different aspects as well as usage cases of web scraping, and if anything else, you have a more general perspective of how to get started and potentially use web scraping in your day-to-day services. Thank you.